I'm Kyla C, reporting for Kids First, and today I have the honor to speak with Clare Knight and Harry Cripps about directing Back to the Outback, which releases December 10th, 2021 on Netflix. You might know Ms. Knight for her work as an editor on the Kung Fu Panda movies, as well as Madagascar. Mr. Cripps is recognizable for The Dry and Penguin Bloom as a writer, and 222 as a script consultant. Welcome to the show! So, Ms. Knight, after seeing the final version of Back to the Outback, what are you most proud of?
I am most proud of the message of this movie, that you should not judge a book by its cover, that it is, everyone has something special, and maybe that special thing will save things in the end. There are actually so many messages in this movie, but they're all wrapped up in a comedy. So I'm also very happy to have everyone laugh as well.
Yeah, I definitely laughed a lot, and the messages were very clear. So, Mr. Cripps, what can you tell us about the difficulties involved in creating Back to the Outback and how you overcame them?
Well, it's all set in Australia, as you know, with Australian animals, which is where I'm from, and it was really a great joy and an honour to work in a movie about my home country. I think the difficulties really came in with the pandemic. We had planned, normally we would all travel to Australia. We would get to spend time going to all the locations in the Outback and in Sydney and in the Blue Mountains, and we would get to see a lot of these animals, but we had to do it all by remote. So it was really about finding just, you know, the way into this world, to especially for people who hadn't necessarily been to Australia before, is to be able to show them this world and these animals, all done on Zoom meetings, and which we did, and it's that was one of the probably the greatest challenge.
Yeah, it definitely would have been a great experience to be able to do all this stuff in real life, but I'm sure you still found ways to have fun and be able to produce this film.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Knight, which of the main animals can you relate the most to?
I think Maddie is the main animal I relate to. I really, I feel for her from the very beginning. She feels like a girl who is hiding her braces and is uncomfortable in her skin. But as she goes through the whole story, it's all about her blossoming. And I feel very connected to that kind of character. I feel like in directing this movie, I'm blossoming. I'm coming out of my my skin. No, that doesn't sound quite right. But another character I think I also like is Zoe, because she's such a goth, you know, and she has such a great dry sense of humor, and she's quite cheeky and very clever. Those are my two favorites, but I mean, there's so many characters that I love.
Yeah, both of them, especially Maddie, I noticed, are super relatable. So, Mr. Cripps, how about you? Do you relate to any particular animal in this film?
Yeah, I think I do, actually. I mean, I'm just thinking about it as listening to Claire talk. I think actually Nigel, the scorpion, reminds me a lot of when I was young. I was a very homesick child. I hated being away from my family. I went to a riding camp once, and I had to be sent home after a day, or my parents had to pick me up because I missed being with my family so much. And Nigel is that character who, unlike Maddie, who thinks if they go on this big journey, they're going to find a family out there, Nigel knows from the beginning of the film that this is his family. These guys, this snake and this lizard, you know, it's the creatures you travel through life with, not necessarily the ones who look like you, who are your family. And that's something he understands. And he's a sensitive and little guy, and I kind of relate to that character.
It's nice that you can relate to some of the characters.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Knight, what is your favorite memory as the director of this film?
Well, I think because we did this during the pandemic and we all had to, you know, go home and work from home, I think my favorite memories is actually the working with everyone. It felt very intimate to be, you know, working with animators around the world who were in their homes and opening their homes, working with actors who were working, recording kits we sent them in their closets and in, you know, like hiding behind curtains in order to make the sound good. So it really was, the whole experience just kept us all going through this time. And it also feels very similar that our animals are in cages and are coming and breaking out. It feels now we are breaking our movie out into the world, and we're all getting to see it, and it's a very joyful movie.
I really like that analogy between like what happens in the movie and what's happening in the process of creating it. It's creative. So, Mr. Cripps, what was your primary goal when you first began working on this film?
I think when I first began working on the film, the primary goal was to really make a movie about all the creatures that I had grown up with and that I loved, and to help the rest of the world love them as I had loved them since I was a kid. I was surrounded by a lot of the snakes and scorpions and stuff growing up in Australia. And I am scared of snakes still, but at the same time, I feel like, having grown up with them, they are a bit like my family. And so it was sort of the opportunity to take those little creepy, crawly, slithery members of your family and show them off to the world and go, look, they are beautiful, they are gorgeous. Come to Australia, explore them, find out more about them. It was a joy to be able to do that. And that was a big goal at the beginning.
Yeah, it's always nice to have goals because they drive you forward and give you more ideas.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Knight, how did your past work editing Kung Fu Panda and Madagascar help you in directing this film?
I think because as an editor in animation, it's slightly different than a live action film. The editor is there right from the beginning, and you're part of the story process, and you're all the way to the end. You're not waiting for the footage to come in, you're kind of building it. It felt very comfortable to step into the role as director because I was very aware of all the aspects of making a big animated feature, and had been privy to working with the actors as well as we recorded them. So I felt good, and the script that Harry wrote was so good. It felt like I really wanted this movie to be seen in the world, and so it was a very exciting and creative and lovely time working on this movie.
Definitely. So, Mr. Cripps, how did you manage the shared responsibilities of directing on the film?
Oh, golly, we sort of just sort of jumped in, Claire and I. We just, we both sort of jumped in and said, what do we do now? And then we just kind of made it up as we went along. And it's such a great way to make a film because Netflix were terrific. They didn't interfere too much. They said, we love it. We have complete faith in you guys. Go and make the film that you two want to make. And that's what we did. We just sat in a room, I think, for the first couple of months, right, Claire? And we just pictures of animals and paintings of Australia, and we just talked about and movies, all the cool movies we loved, and we just found out we had all these things in common. But that was the starting off point. It was just play. It was just the most fun playtime at the beginning.
So, Ms. Knight, what about you? How about your experience? Was it how was sharing the directing for you?
It was great. I mean, I feel like we had a great partnership of how we what we each brought to it, and we really figured out from that, as Harry mentioned, that from the first day of putting up all these images of the animals, we started to look at their traits together and learn a lot about them and figure out the journey that they would go on and how those traits would inform their characters. So it was great. And then we would look at movies and say, oh, I think this character reminds me of Maddie. So let's, think of how her journey was and look at it and add those things to our as we went along. It was like a big pot of stew that we were making.
Yeah, the process of this film sounds like it was a very good experience.
It was.
So, Mr. Cripps, you worked mostly in the writing and acting department, such as on The Dry and Strange Planet. Was there anything new in directing this film that you didn't expect?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think as a writer, you're closer to a novelist than you are to a visual artist, like a painter or something. It's all written word. Definitely, you see it in your head. But then as a director, you really have to make that step out of the written page, out of what side is in your imagination. You have to put it out there. You've got to become like a visual artist, someone who, and that was really, it was a great thrill. It was very exciting. It was something quite different. and challenging as well, but ultimately very rewarding.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Ms. Knight and Mr. Cripps, for talking with me today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyla.
Thanks, Kyla. Have a nice day.
Bye, you too.
Do I need to stop the recording?
You know what this means? You don't hate me anymore.
I'm a Capricorn. I hate everybody.
Baby, it's a wild life, and baby, I'm a wild child.